Asia 21 is the Asia-Pacific region's leading young leaders network. Built on a platform of values-based leadership and public service, Asia 21 over the course of the last 8 years has brought together over 800 young leaders from throughout the Asia-Pacific region, representing over 30 different countries. Each year there's an annual summit which brings together upwards of 100 young leaders from throughout the region. There are public service projects that come out of that, local chapters that have been formed in 10 countries throughout the region, and all kinds of issues and activities that are being addressed through the work of these young leaders in the region. The challenges facing young leaders in the Asia-Pacific region today are many and varied. And they're challenges that are facing so many people throughout the region, whether or not they're young leaders or not. I mean, we can talk about things like the environment, sustainability issues, livable cities, economic security issues. But I think also young leaders, of course, are faced with even bigger challenges. There are cultural challenges that they're faced with, kind of breaking through the barriers and being able to take the leadership roles that many are ready to take, but perhaps are, faced with cultures in which they have to, you have to be much older and whatnot in order to be seen as being ready to take on those kinds of positions. And young leaders bring to the table a different perspective, a fresh perspective, a lot of energy. And because they were raised and brought up in a different kind of world than their predecessors, they have a different way of thinking about things and different solutions that they can bring to the table. And so perhaps that's the biggest challenge that they face is trying to break through those barriers that allows them to have the voice to address those challenges. Well, Asia 21 in and of itself can create a platform for young leaders to work together to address those challenges. So over the course of the last 8 years, we've built that network, we've convened those young leaders, and we're getting them to work together to address those shared challenges. In the beginning of the project, we had one of the Asia Society's network's most senior leaders who came to us and said, I really wish something like this existed when I was younger, that I had the opportunity to meet with the people who I'm now engaging with. If I had had those kinds of relationships, just think of the kind of things that we could be doing now, having had 20 or 30 years of experience together, as opposed to meeting somebody for the first time across the table. There are a lot of different projects, both planned and ad hoc, that take place throughout the Asia 21 network. There are public service projects that people work on coming out of the summits, but there are also things that happen, just as a matter of the networks and the relationships that we're working to create. So, for example, there have been partnerships between people to work on providing training for female entrepreneurs in North Korea. There have been study trips to the Philippines, for example, by 2 NASA scientists who did a barnstorming tour of the Philippines, teaching grade school level children in the Philippines about the mysteries and wonders of science and space. There have been trips to Bhutan to talk about capacity building. So there are all kinds of things that are happening around the network that are already working are already showing the fruits of and benefits of trying to bring this kind of network together and these kinds of people together. Asia 21 is important for the future of the region, for the future of the world. I mean, you hear these kind of statements, I think, all the time about, young people are the future. It's obvious that's the case. But because I think, given a platform and given a voice, young leaders can begin to play that role sooner than they would have otherwise. And that's something I think that's really key to what Asia 21 is all about. It's giving them that platform, it's creating that network, it's building up those relationships that will hopefully last a lifetime. The other thing I would say around that is that, of course, Asia is front and center in all discussions about the future, not just of that region, but of course around the world. You're talking about China, you're talking about India, you're talking about so many other different countries that are going to be critical to the economic future of the globe. They're going to be critical. There's so many different security issues around the region. If we can get people talking about these kinds of issues now at a younger age, it will, I think, only be to the benefit of both those people and to the region going forward.